Coming to paperback and e-readers, Isis Dark Incubus. The goddess next door gets enthralled in a romantic entanglement with an evil incubus in this all-new Isis series adventure. Pre-order your copy of Isis Dark Incubus at Amazon.com and other online booksellers everywhere. One of my viewers asked me if I would use AI art to create a comic for the SJS Direct imprint. And AI, or artificial intelligence art, is art that is generated by a artificial intelligence program like a ChatGPT, and when it comes to that art, it will never have a place at SJS Direct. No, I would never use AI to generate art for an SJS Direct project, such as a cover or the interiors of a graphic novel or a comic book, because to me, art is something that comes from people, and it's something that is meant to be shared with people. Now, I have had my fiscal struggles as related to creating new comic projects, and I haven't been able to really get enough funds together to make the follow-up to comic projects I've done in the past, such as Esteem No Good Deed and John Haynes at Death's Door, but I would never make a compromise to my artistic integrity by going out here and putting fingers to the keyboard into an AI program to create comic panels for a SJS Direct comic. No, I would rather sit and wait and save the money to be able to pay a real artist to create real art, because it was real art that really inspired me to go out and become a writer way back when I was 9 years old. Now, I have been reading comics ever since I was 4 years old, and it was comics like George Perez's Avengers that got me into learning how to read and made me passionate about reading and reading comic books, and I feel it would be a complete betrayal to everything that I grew up with as related to my core values to go out here and put fingers into a keyboard to create artificial intelligence art to create a comic book when it was real artists like George Perez, John Byrne, Mike McKone, and many others like Jim Lee and Todd McFarlane and Rob Liefeld and many others that inspired me to aspire to be a comic book writer when I was 16 years old, and it would be a complete betrayal to all of those comic artists who I bought comics that superheroes were featured and other characters were featured in, to go out here and just go find a ChatGPT program, start putting in the words and descriptions to create panels of a comic or a manga. I feel that would be a complete betrayal to everything that I grew up with as related to my love and passion for comics, because to me, a comic is not something that is generated out of a computer. No, a comic is something that tells a story, and that story is told in pictures that are drawn by human hands. Because there's something special about a comic book drawn by human hands. There's something just so special about it, because I believe in many cases when an artist puts their hands to the drawing board or the Bristol to create that art, they're not just giving us the interpretation of a character like an Isis, a John Haynes, or an Esteem. What they're doing is releasing part of their spirit into that art, and that's what really allows us to really connect with those characters and really connect with the images of these characters and their stories. I believe that it is hand-drawn art that really just comes alive and really just gets your attention, because what got my attention when I was looking at comic art, when I was looking for comic art to feature on the covers of my SJS Direct books, was seeing that art come alive. And that's one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about looking to hire comic artists to do projects on the SJS Direct imprint, like covers, because that art really is the thing that got me through rough times growing up in the South Bronx, and it's that art that really got me to really start thinking about things as related to moving my life forward. And that art is something that I love so much. And one of the ways I want to pay back to all of those great artists that inspired me all those years ago is going out and looking to hire comic artists and feature them on the covers of SJS Direct books. That's my way of paying tribute to the medium and the artists in that medium, to give them jobs and pay them for work, because if it wasn't for their work, I wouldn't be here to create an SJS Direct imprint. And that's why I want to feature comic art on most of the covers of SJS Direct books. And that's why I always make an effort to try to go out and contact comic artists to feature their work on SJS Direct books. Now, I know many comic artists, they really aren't into having their work featured on a paperback book or an ebook, but it's my way of paying tribute to a business that helped me be able to be inspired to start my own publishing business. And comic art has a major place in my life, and I want to continue sharing comic art with people and let them understand that comic art doesn't have to just be featured in a comic book. No, comic art is something that's special and unique, and it has its own storytelling medium. And that's one of the things I try to do here at SJS Direct, is I want to go out and show respect to the comic book business that allowed me to grow up to become a writer. And when it comes to showing respect, I believe the greatest way you can show respect to the entire comic book business and comic book artists that have inspired me is to give those artists jobs. For me, giving a comic artist a job is my way of showing respect to them, because the greatest thing you could do, as I see as a man, for someone is go out here and give them a job. Because when you give a person a job, this allows them to be able to continue pursuing their passion. And as they pursue their passion, they're able to get publishing credits that will allow them to get more jobs. And you also, when you give an artist a job, you're going out here and giving them an opportunity to share their work with the world. That's what I'm trying to do here. And when I go out and hire comic artists, it's the ultimate form of respect. And it's the ultimate form of respect to a medium that helped me to be able to read when I was 4 years old. So for me, I have to hire real comic artists, because it was real comic artists that allowed me to become inspired to become a writer when I was 9 and started doing Mayor Fox stories. And it was real comic artists that really started inspiring me to become a comic book writer when I was 16 years old. And as I've grown to become a writer who can write novels, screenplays, and comic books, I want to continue paying tribute to real comic artists by making sure that they get paid. And that's why I have always been out here looking to make sure artists get paid, and making sure that they get paid for their projects, and making sure that their money is there before I even contact them about a project. Because a long time ago, I used to try to do Kickstarters to try to get the money to pay for art, but that really didn't work out. And when I hear about things like people wanting to give artists percentages as related to the art payment, that's for me not a good deal. No, whenever I go to an artist, the first question I'm asking, what is the price for your work? And after I ask the question for the price, usually I go back to my budget to see how much money I have. And in many cases, if I know your rate and I know what you charge for a project, what I usually do is make sure that even before I contact you, I have the funds ready to go so that the artist can get paid, because I understand an artist's time is money. I understand an artist's labor is money, and I want to show respect for that artist's time and that money before I even go to that artist, because I know that artists have lots of different people contacting them, And I want to make sure that the process between me and an artist is extremely transparent. So I always, when I'm out here with SJS Direct, whenever I approach an artist, usually I already have the budget ready as related to a project. So whenever I'm approaching an artist, they can always know that they're gonna get paid, and they're gonna get paid in full, because I don't believe in giving an artist a partial payment as related to a project unless they agree to that term. But even if they agree to that term or want that term, they will always have their money waiting for them and have their money ready for them, because I always believe in taking care of real artists and make sure that real artists are the ones that get paid for their projects in full, and make sure that they are able to get their bills taken care of, because as they're doing these labors for me, I want to make sure that they are taken care of as related to SJS Direct, and that is my policy on art. Because for me, AI isn't real art. No, AI is fake art. It takes people's drawing styles and takes it and puts it into a computer and gives us an artificial image of what the computer aggregates based on what it has seen. It doesn't really give us an actual image that is inspired the way an artist gives us real art, because real art comes from the heart, comes from the soul of the artist, and has its own energy, whereas AI art feels lifeless and dead and feels disconnected. And real art from real people, it gives us a human connection to real people, and that's what makes real art just something I want to stand by. And I want to stand by real artists and stand by them and continue to make sure that we can continue to make great real art from real people. That's what comics mean to me, and I'm not looking to compromise my integrity on looking to try to make a shortcut to try to create a comic for crowdfunding, because it's unethical to me to go out here and have a computer make a comic, take it over to Kickstarter to save a few bucks, when I came into this business to give artists real jobs and make sure that artists stay working, because I want to make sure that this medium stays around for the next generation so that they can enjoy comics and see what makes comics great is art made by real people, because those stories are made by a real writer, and I want real art to represent all of the stories on the SJS Direct imprint. Now, if you want to pick up my first two comics, Esteem No Good Deed, you can find that comic on Kindle for 99 cents that I did with Bill Walko, and you can also find it in the Esteem series book, Esteem Blast from the Past, and both of those can be found on Amazon.com in the paperback and Kindle format. And if you want to pick up my other comic, John Haynes at Death's Door, you can get a paper copy of John Haynes at Death's Door on Lulu.com by clicking the link in the description box. Now, I am currently thinking about working on getting John Haynes at Death's Door over on Amazon.com for more people to buy. And I'm also trying to raise funds to eventually get the Isis All That Glitters script and the Isis the Beauty Myth script that I did completed. So I want to do those comics in the future, but I can't do those comics in the future without your support. So if you guys could head over to the Cash App or the PayPal, and drop a donation, that would really help me to be able to make my next SJS Direct comic and get it out there on the marketplace. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Coming to paperback and e-readers, John Haynes, Illuminati. The man who rules the world takes on the head of the global elite in this action-packed, all-new John Haynes series adventure. Pre-order your copy of John Haynes, Illuminati on Amazon.com and online booksellers everywhere. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.